Hey guys, Kim here of YugaTech, and earlier this year, Motorola launched their new E5 series of smartphones. Today, we're gonna take a look at the Moto E5 Plus, an entry-level device with a few tricks up its sleeve. So let's see where it fits with the rest of the pack in our full review. The Moto E5 Plus design is quite similar to last year's Moto G5 series, with a few minor changes. It's got that classic big circular part at the back that we see in most Motorola phones. It sort of looks like a cool modern clock, and the rear camera and LED flash are located here. Below is a fingerprint scanner with a Motorola logo. The back also has this neat water-repellent coating that we don't usually see in entry-level devices. It gives a nice gloss, so it looks quite stylish and premium, especially with this black color. The phone in general is quite bulky and thick, but it's too hard to carry around. This also gives it the added durability, which we really like. Anyway, moving on to the right, we have the volume and power buttons. On the left, it has a SIM tray that can hold 2 nano SIM cards, plus a micro SD card in its own dedicated slot. We like that. Up top, we have the 3.5mm audio jack, and down at the bottom, we have the micro USB port, microphone, and that's it. No dedicated loudspeaker down here, as the call speaker up front serves as a main audio source. Despite this though, sound quality isn't half bad. It can get pretty loud, and highs and mids are clear enough for casual listening. It's still a smartphone though, so don't expect much or any bass at all. Finally, up front are the 8-megapixel camera, LED flash, the call speaker that's also the only speaker, and of course a big 6-inch 18:9 IPS display. Now the bezels on this thing are actually quite thin for an entry-level phone. The overall design of the front face isn't super 2008, but hey, it still looks pretty neat. Some Motorola phones also usually have the fingerprint scanner at the bottom bezel, but this time it's over at the back. So the chin and forehead aren't as thick this time. Alright, speaking of the screen itself, again, it's a 6-inch IPS display with an 18:9 aspect ratio. Resolution is capped at 1440 by 720. With this size of display with that resolution, stuff on screen isn't as crispy as you'd like it to be, especially video. It is an IPS display though, so we find color to be good as well as brightness. Even at 80%, it's very usable outdoors on a sunny day. So the phone is running Android 8.0 Oreo, and if you take a look at the UI, it's almost stock Android. The interface is clean and simple with those classic Google icons. Pretty much the only proprietary app installed is Moto Manager, which basically just lets you enable some useful features and gestures, like taking a screenshot by tapping with 3 fingers, flipping the phone over to silence your notifications, or shaking the phone to activate the flashlight. Moving on to hardware, the phone is powered by a Snapdragon 430 chipset and 3GB of RAM. For storage, you only get 32GB, but you do have the option of expanding it by up to 128GB via a micro SD card. So with this phone, basic tasks like web browsing, streaming videos, and using social media aren't really a problem. It's pretty smooth and responsive. It's actually more than what we expect from an entry-level device, so this is pretty good. Even unlocking the phone with a fingerprint scanner is snappy, as it only takes about half a second. So again, this phone is packing a Snapdragon 430, which isn't a super powerful chipset. So we have to lower our expectations with overall performance. It performs great with basic tasks like I said, but we have to cut it some slack when it comes to demanding things like benchmarks in games. Taking a look at these benchmark scores, they're not the highest, but still around what we'd expect for a less powerful entry-level device. But the E5 Plus is still very well capable of gaming. You're gonna need to lower your settings in games like PUBG, Mobile Legends, and Asphalt. Gaming performance is nothing amazing, but still very playable. Light to medium games, however, are a breeze for the most part. The phone does warm up quite a bit during heavy usage, but it never reaches a point where it's uncomfortable. For connectivity, we have the standard set of features like Wi-Fi, 4G LTE, Bluetooth, and GPS. The phone does, however, lack the staple sensors we enjoy in devices higher up the ladder, like a gyroscope for example. Using navigation apps like Google Maps or Waze are still usable though, since it still does have GPS. Alright guys, let's talk about battery now, because this is where things get really good. It's got a huge 5000 mAh battery that can easily live for 2 days if you stretch it. Motorola actually claims that it can last up to 36 hours on a single charge. In our standard video loop test, it got a whopping 17 hours and 20 minutes of continuous playback. That's crazy. It lasts almost as long as the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro, which got a result of more than 20 hours. For our standards, anything more than around 12 hours is pretty good, so 17 hours and 20 minutes from the Moto E5 Plus is insane. Maybe it would have lasted longer if it had a smaller screen, but hey, we like the big screen. Okay, finally guys, let's talk about the cameras. So like I said earlier, the phone is pretty much running on stock Android, so we do get the vanilla camera UI. It's very simple and straightforward, and we have HDR, Pro, Slow-Mo, and Panorama. You know, the basics. At the back, we have a 12 megapixel camera with an aperture of f2.0, and at the front, it's an 8 megapixel camera with an aperture of f2.2. Taking a look at the shots we get from the rear camera, let's just say they're not impressive, but not disappointing either. Shots taken in natural or bright lighting have decent detail and passable color, and are definitely good enough for simple social media use. It is, however, very slow. It's not really good for capturing moving subjects, and in low light, images are really muddy and noisy. Now, for the front camera, we do get a beautification filter if you want it. Photos are again detailed enough for social media, and neither impressive nor disappointing. One thing we didn't notice about selfies though, are that the skin tones are super inconsistent, even when shooting in similar lighting. Like in these two selfies here. These are taken in the same room pretty much. All I did was turn around, and as you can see in the second photo, my skin ended up looking yellowish, when in reality we should be seeing a more natural pinkish skin tone. For video, the E5 Plus can record up to 1080p at 30 FPS. Quality isn't that great, and shots are super shaky since there isn't any built-in stabilization. You can also shoot cool slow motion videos, but only at 480p. I guess that's good enough for a quick Instagram post. Alright guys, so that is the Moto E5 Plus. It's priced at 9,999 pesos, which is a dangerous price point. There are other competitors sitting at that price range that provides better overall performance. So let's just discuss the nice things you do get with this phone. It's a nice phone to have as a daily driver, but only for basic tasks. You'll be fine with web browsing, social media, taking photos, and playing games occasionally. It's nicely optimized as the phone is fast and responsive with these simple tasks. We also really like that it's running pretty much stock Android, which also helps with optimization. The phone also lasts a really long time with its huge 5000 mAh battery. It might not even be just a daily driver anymore. You could even call it a 2-day driver if you stretch the battery life a bit. I also want to point out again that it has a water-resistant body, which is a feature you don't normally find in the entry-level segment. So if that's super important to you or it's helpful, then it's a big plus. Alright, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about the Motorola Moto E5 Plus? Let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this and hit the bell icon to be notified of our future uploads. Again, this is Kim of YugaTech, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!